Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. Josh Weinstein and Jenn Potthast were seated at a little corner table in a busy coffee shop, the kind of place where the aroma of espresso hung in the air and the gentle clinking of spoons on ceramic cups typically brought peace. But the mood today was charged with conflict. They were attempting, but failing, to keep under the radar. Josh moved in his seat for what seemed like the 100th time, his fingers tapping a nervous cadence on the rim of his uneathered coffee cup. Pulled low over his forehead, his baseball cap did not cover his clearly defined profile. People saw him, always as they did, and today more than ever the eyes of strangers seared into his skin. Jenn, though, was the model of composure. With her legs crossed, she reclined back in her chair as one manicured palm sloppily swirled through her phone. She looked up every so often, not at Josh but rather at the people gathered around them, gently timing who was surreptitiously snapping pictures or muttering behind their hands. Still another buzz on her phone. Josh shined. Without thinking, Jenn turned the screen so Josh could view the most recent headline. 90 Day Fiancé stars Josh and Jenn caught in secret romance. Photos leapt. The photos were all around. Josh and Jenn dining under candlelight. Josh strolled across a park with his arm wrapped across her waist. Together, their laughter screamed much more than just friendship. It suggested something more. The kind of more that would destroy whatever illusion of distance Josh had sought to preserve between himself and Natalie HEARTBROKEN. Josh inhaled long, his mouth closing so hard it seemed he might break a tooth. Under his breath, he mumbled, "I told you, once those photos got out, there was no going back." Her voice was hoarse. Jenn didn't waver. Rather, she drank another slow sip of her latte, as though they were talking about the temperature rather than the bursting of their personal life into public controversy. "Did you really believe we could hide this forever?" With an eyebrow raising, Jenn said, "We are Josh reality TV stars." Josh leaned forward with his shoulders sagging. All of it weighed like a mountain pressing against him. He ignored it. He was not in need of, since the world already possessed the desired answers. It made no difference to everyone browsing those images about when or how Josh and Jenn's relationship had began. The story they observed mattered most of all. Josh had come on, and he had moved on with Jenn instead of simply anyone. The treachery was not only a headline. Natalie took a direct strike from it. It's miles away. Natalie HEARTBROKEN was seated on her couch motionless in a quiet corner of her poorly lighted apartment. Her face was pallid, blank, but her phone's illumination betrayed the tempest building under her surface. Her lips shook just so gently as she turned through the never-ending tsunami of stories, comments, and most importantly, pictures. Picture after picture. Josh's hand beneath the table resting on Jenn's knee. Jenn wrapped her arm tightly around Josh's shoulder. Their smiles were the kind of ones not courteous or contrived for camera coverage. These were real. Close. Natalie's heart hammered in her chest, every pulse louder than the previous one. The man who had told her he wasn't ready for a relationship. The same man who looked into her eyes and claimed he needed time to heal. Now seemed healed enough to be clutching the hand of another woman. Her thumb stayed over the screen. Her head whirling, she blinked quickly. When did this get started? Was it in progress while we were still in conversation? Was she constantly waiting in the background? Was I ever enough? Natalie's hand dropped the phone, lightly thudding it against the couch cushion. She ignored it. Rather, she fixated on the wall, her breathing shallow, her ideas a whirl of anguish and resentment. A voice emerged from the stillness. Natalie, Anna, her closest friend, was standing in the door separating the living room from the kitchen. Her face was soft but worried. She wasn't sure whether Natalie was going to start crying or toss something across the room. "You have to breathe," Anna murmured gently. Natalie once blinked. Twice. The words registered hardly at all. "It's not just about the pictures," Natalie said at last, her voice breaking under all of it. "He informed me he lacked readiness. He said he was not ready." Her last syllable broke on voice. Anna moved closer, wary of pushing too aggressively. "Maybe it's time to let him go," she said. Natalie said nothing at all for a moment. Then, ever so slowly, a flutter of something else across her face. Not only gloom, but something colder. "I did," Natalie said in a whisper. Still, he didn't. Josh Weinstein sat rigidly in his chair hours later under the strong illumination of the reality TV confessional chamber. The cameras were running continuously. The crew said nothing at all. This was not a moment with an escape. Josh's fingers sank into his legs, and his jaw twitched when he spoke at last. Slowly and with strained voice, he said, "I didn't plan for any of this to happen. Jenn and I had a connection. It was real, not some dramatic turnaround. Although I realize how it looks, our goal was not to injure anyone." He blinked hard, as though he were attempting to wipe something muttered from his consciousness. Still another confessions. Jenn Potthast this time. She sat with excellent posture. Her lips pushed together momentarily before separating, just enough to allow a consistent breath. Unlike Josh, her voice was not cracked and she showed no obvious shame. She said straightforwardly, "Josh makes me happy. I'm not here to pilfer someone's X-file. I am here since we came upon something real. Although people are free to say what they want, the truth is that this happened without any planning." Then Natalie. The camera's merciless lens caught every detail. The little puffiness under her eyes, the way her mouth twitched before she spoke, the way her fingers fidgeted with her shirt's hem. She said nothing for a very long period. Then at last she said brokenly, "I merely hope." Natalie drew in a firm swallow. "I simply hope he finds happiness, even though it wasn't with me." Her voice broke, the weight of her words more than any scream could possibly produce. She didn't cry, not now, not in front of the cameras, but her voice carried real, indisputable grief. She said, the reality was visible. Old wounds were ripped raw with the released pictures, and the globe was seeing the aftermath real-time. Jenn and Josh were no more a secret. Natalie no longer held any importance. And the only thing more fervent than public obsession with the scandal was the storm still on approach. Since in the realm of 90-Day Fiancé, love was never easy, and betrayal never marked the end of the narrative. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.